And a very good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, to one and all. This is Betting Weekly Live. You're with Dan Roebuck and Lewis Jones. Over the course of the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to be talking Champions League draw. Why not? EPL action on a Friday night as well. It's Wolves against Villa. We've got some La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, Liga, and by Lewis Jones' request, English Championship action as well. Lewis, how are you?
Great form, Dan. Brilliant choice of song as well. I mean, I think I was even singing along. That's how good that track was.
Do you know the words?
The versions? Yeah. Come watch our show. Bet Rivers sponsors. I mean, it's that version. It's like that. It's that version that should probably release that. Really, I'd download that on Spotify every day of the week. I think so. Thanks for that. Great start, Dan. Great choice.
What have we got on the chat already? Villa fan says, afternoon, guys. Was big on our chances for top four some months ago. Very bullish. Says Villa fan. All that changed with those three midfield injuries. Yeah, we're going to talk about that shortly. We're now without a difference maker and other key players. Villa have been bet off the boards this afternoon. I like the guys plays the Premier League show, low goals, but I think Wolves plus a half might be the value play. Byron's with us. Mike is as well. Byron talking about some early wages that he likes for the Champions League. Burda on the money line. Newcastle team total over 1.5. John Tate's with us. Good to see John. ZT, Chippy Chips as well. Madrid City round of 16. What a surprise. Yeah, same as last time. Wasn't it? Father Brian, what is going on? Plenty. What else have we got here? The real Brendan King. Let's cash some winners. Let's hope we do.
You can see your burner account on screen as well there, Dan. That's interesting.
Well, hi, Dan. Just wanted to say, watch the Premier show today. You're hosting is superb. Yes, it is. Thanks, Mike. Knowledge, jokes, leading questions, follow up, great knowledge and knowledge. Yeah, you know, it's just I try my best. What can I tell you? Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. David says, talking about the Saudi Pro League, free money. Put your picks in, David, in the chat. Barrack's talking about Burda, draw no bet. Ming, so is it just me or could Wolves actually shock today? Maybe not win, but possibly draw. Yeah, a lot looking at that Asian line, I think, at plus a half. Get your picks in, whatever you're doing. Just want to rattle through some chunky bets from the last 24 hours. We're going to talk Champions League drawing a set with Lewis. A couple of interesting ones on the Brazilian football. Santos Live over 0.5 first half goal, $6,000 play against Vasco is a winner. But the one that I really like is a $50 play on Neymar to score at least 2 goals at 11-1 in that particular game as well to win $550. Nice to see that Neymar is still cashing for someone. I mean, he can't get in the Brazil squad, can you, Lewis?
I mean, I'm not really across the latest in Neymar's career, but you never know. I mean, a big name like that, just to get him in the squad, it would increase a bit more of the publicity, etc. If they want to go down that route, but whether he's if he's banging in the goals and he hits a bit of form, why not, Dan? Why not?
Exactly. Genk $5,000 play last night. Next goal, which was a winner against Dinamo. Brand team total under 0.5 against Bologna, which was a winner. $5,000 play on a plus money pick up there. That was very nice. $5,000 on Celta Vigo team total over 0.5 first half goals, which was a loser. Also, some losers there on the Zagreb game on the corners as well. Plenty of decent chunky bets on the conference and the Champions League. Nigel's on holiday. He still can't resist having a little bit of a dig here, can he? Mike must have watched Dan with a mute button on. Thanks, Nigel. Hope you're holidaying well. What else have we got here? Father Brown says Dan needs to remember to send Mike that invoice. Yeah. No, the other way around. I need to pay it. No, I need to pay it. Right, Champions League. No, before we get to Champions League, streams tonight. If you've got a Bet Rivers app or you can log on to your Bet Rivers account, there's an awful lot of soccer that you can watch. Bristol City, Watford. Lewis has got some smart plays in that a little later. Levante, Alaves in La Liga. Parma, Cagliari in Serie A as well is streamed live, as is Strasbourg against Lens. Claudio was on. He asked about 5 times for James's advice on that game. So I'll repeat what James said a little bit later on if you missed it. There's also some Eredivisie, some Belgian football. There are some Spanish Segunda, Ligue 1, Serie B as well, plus League 2 action in England, Harrogate against Cheltenham. And also lots of tennis stream live as well. ATP Santiago and Acapulco, and also WTA Fair in Austin and Merida. Right, Champions League, the draw earlier on today, and the big takeaway We'll do the draw first, Lewis. The big takeaway here is that Arsenal have got an absolute solo here, haven't they? I mean, it could not have worked out better for them. Leverkusen, then either Werder or Sporting, and then maybe Barcelona. But then you're into the semi-finals. I mean, what a draw for Mikel Arteta's side.
Yeah, it's worked out perfectly for Arsenal. And if you're holding an Arsenal futures ticket on the Champions League, you're in a much better position than you were at the start of the day, because this is a big move for them, I think, in the market. About an 8% move into sort of plus 250 they now are with Bet Rivers. So they're about 8% in implied probability, which I haven't actually got the data to back this up, but surely that has got to be one of the biggest moves from after a draw has been made.
I think you're right.
I can remember. I think it's a really significant one, I think, and it is. It's great for Arsenal. I mean, it does pave the way for them for the semi-finals, but plus 250, really? I mean, I think that's far too short. I think the market's got a little bit carried away there. I think for a team that hasn't won a major trophy in 5 years, and one that have shown already some serious mental vulnerability, I would argue, even though we're not really in the running yet, even though they're quite clearly the best team in the Premier League. I wouldn't trust this Arsenal team yet to be getting over the line in any major competition. This is me talking from my pocket a little bit, because I've been there with them over the past 3 years, and I was holding the quad ticket last season for them to win everything at 500 to 1 last season. And
gone too early.
So I've gone a season too early. So maybe those that are looking to have winners next year should probably look at my anti-post picks for this season to see where the winners are coming from. But Arsenal plus 250 with Bet Rivers is just far too short, I think. And that does actually open up opportunities, I think, if you want to get involved with some really good teams at prices in this competition. And I think I will be at some point, Dan, getting involved here, because this PSG price, it's top of my list. I've got to say, I'm normally pretty good at not letting emotions dictate my decision making when it comes to betting, but with PSG, they do test me in that regard, because they delivered for me so big last season. It was one of my biggest ever anti-post wins, with them winning the Champions League at plus 1,600. Really amazing victory, and something which I enjoyed so much watching them do it without really sweating too much. So they are a team that are in my heart, but I try not to let heart dictate head. But 10 to 1 for this team in the Champions League still. And I know a lot of people will be shouting, yes, they're not the same team, haven't hit their straps this season. But I do think that when you've got a team that have been there and done it, and they've got a pathway that includes Chelsea and Liverpool, yes, and I know the strength of the Premier League teams is very, very strong and worrying from that point of view. But 10 to 1 about PSG. I mean, it's just they're winking at me, Dan, seducing me. And I've just got to try and make a decision whether I am using too much heart to think that this is a really great bet at 10 to 1, or I use my head and walk away, because my head is telling me that they're not the same team as last year, but they peak at the right times. They always do. I just think that they're going to be building towards the end of the season here, and they've got the same team. They've got the same manager, more or less. I think there's lots of reasons to get involved with PSG again here. 10 to 1. It's going to be a real difficult one for me to avoid, I think. I haven't backed it yet, but I will be getting involved, I think, before the balls are kicked in the first leg. Your thoughts on PSG? 10 to 1?
I mean, as Byron has pointed out here, Byron says, look, you say that, Lewis, talking about Arsenal plus 250, but they're going to be in the final. So not sure what you're going about here. Are they going to be plus 250 in the final? I mean, I sort of agree with that. I mean, I wouldn't bet them at plus 250, but I can't see how they can't make it there. I mean, the draw is just, they could not have put it together better themselves. Mikel Arteta underneath the bag saying, have this one, it just seems to me an absolute solo for Arsenal. They are very short. And if you manage to get a bigger price on them, and I know that, Nigel on the show a good few weeks ago now talked about Arsenal for the quad, and there's one or two that I think that have got bigger prices. I know that from a Bet Rivers standpoint, we had $1,000 on Arsenal at plus 450. So obviously a little bit bigger. That was before the draw. We've had 800 on Liverpool at 6-1. Man City have been backed $500 at 7-1. PSG at 8-1 at $500. Well, obviously, I mean, the draw, as you say, there's a lot of Premier League tax in that. And Will White talks about it. The draw would suggest that they're going to have to get through, they're going to have to get through Chelsea, who beat them in the Club World Cup final, then Liverpool, and then that bottom left-hand quarter. I mean, crikey, what have you got there? Real Madrid, Man City, Atalanta. Okay, park that for a little bit, and Bayern Munich. I mean, that is a nightmare. So I can see sort of top left and bottom right, really, but it's I don't know. I mean, Barcelona are going to be interesting for Arsenal in the semi. Should Barcelona get there? But Barcelona, the way that they play, I'd take, the top 4 or 5, 6 Premier League teams to beat them, I think, at the moment, wouldn't you? I don't think they're a massive threat.
No, I agree. I think that would be a really interesting tie against Newcastle as well, because I know they played already once this season. It's quite a close game, actually. I know Barcelona came out on top, but Newcastle were very much in that game. And you're right, this Premier League tax, as you perfectly put there, is definitely at play there. But yeah, we all know, we know what happens with football. It's not played on paper, is it? Arsenal have got to go out and get the job done in these high pressurised environments still. And they were very good against Spurs. I watched them firsthand last weekend, and they were turned up and did an absolute job on Spurs. Didn't wobble, but this is a team that still have to prove they don't wobble in big occasions, I think, and that is just the sole reason why I would not be touching them at those prices. I can completely see why people think they've got a pathway to the final, but it only takes one little wobble, one little situation in a Champions League 2-legged game to really change everything. And yeah, what if they get Bodo Glimt away? Bodo Glimt, that'd be a difficult one. Second leg will be all right, probably. But I'm probably clutching at straws to get them knocked out before the semis. But I just think at that price, it's not a price that I'll be happy to play with this team in question at the moment with Arsenal. If they go and win the Carabao Cup and they show a bit more consistency in the Premier League and stop these stupid mistakes and nervousness, then they are the best team in Europe probably. But they've still got a lot to prove for me.
Mr. Gargoyle says Bodo Glimt will beat Arsenal should they meet. William Jenners with us. The real Brennan King says, I see everyone's points here and Arsenal are right, Fazer. I just don't love backing that price when they've got to go through 4 matches. Take your point completely. Father Brian, Arsenal done well last season with the injuries that they had. Peter saying Barcelona, 1 leg semi-final value on Barca. Although I'm already on Barca to reach final at plus 500. I just think they're a bit, the way that they play. B. Frank says Barcelona. Byron says not the same PSG. What else have we got? What have I missed here? Ming says Arsenal all in the already in the semis. Boys talking about Barca and potentially Newcastle could take them out. Not sure about that. Frankie de Jong's out for a few weeks, isn't he? I read today. North Vancouver Canada says, where is the second leg if Arsenal meet Barcelona? Arsenal will play all the second legs at home because they were top of the league phase. And so will Bayern and the other half of the draw. That's the way it works, that you get that little bit of an advantage. Father Brian, 92 PSG to reach the final. Would love your thoughts on Spurs Atleti. I mean, Spurs are awful at the minute. I mean, the thing is with Atleti, they've thrown in some absolute awful performances. They were smashed by Rayo the other week, but I still think they'll beat Spurs.
They should do, yeah. I mean, it depends on if Spurs can just find a couple of wins in the Premier League to ease a bit of the pressure. Because if they go into those Champions League nights in the run of form that they're in at the moment, and they potentially are 1-2 points away from the relegation drop, with the squad that they've got at the moment in terms of the lack of depth and the injuries, they're going to have to prioritise the Premier League matches. I don't care if it's Champions League last 16 against Atleti. If you're fighting to stay in the Premier League,
stay in a big game, haven't you?
You've got to prioritise the Premier League. And Igor Tudor he's not an idiot. He's been in there to keep Tottenham in the Premier League, so he would quite happily sacrifice the Champions League. However how ridiculous that sounds, that might have to be the case for Tottenham this season because it's real now. This isn't. The probabilities are about 5 to 1 of them being relegated. And we're in March. This is a real situation now for Spurs, and they have to somehow find themselves a bit of form and quickly. Otherwise, those teams below them who are hitting their straps at the moment, West Ham and Nottingham Forest, are going to put them under serious pressure. And I don't think this Tottenham side look capable of dealing with this sort of pressure. And interesting story to follow this Tottenham one. I do think this relegation price might even shorten further over the next few weeks. So one to keep an eye on. One to keep an eye on.
Yeah, Fulham at the weekend. Very interesting game. Adam says, has anyone got any tips for Trabzonspor? Not on this show, but if anyone's following the Turkish top flight in the chat, I'm sure you might get something, Adam. Real Brendan says, can't back PSG. I think you're talking about PSG. Real Brendan King's got Atleti at plus 2,700 each way before the draws. Took a bit of a flyer there. David Lopez says, simply backing Butter for goals will be my route. Byron saying all these Barca supporters have missed how Atleti buried them in the past 2 seasons. Yeah, certainly in that Copa del Rey game not so long ago. That is for sure. Very, very quickly, this was sort of not on the running order, but John does such a great job with these that I'm going to show you the Europa League draw very quickly. Lille, Villa, Bologna, Roma in the same quarter, Forest in the same half of Villa. I'm throwing this one at you, Lewis. I mean, we were talking about Forest a little bit, weren't we, before we came on it? I mean, I still think Villa have got a big chance to win that. I don't mind Betis in the other half. Any quick thoughts?
Well, I'm just looking at that the tricky side of the draw that Villa find themselves in there. I mean, if they get to the semi-final and Nottingham Forest can get through their side, I mean, a Villa Nottingham Forest semi-final in Europa League would be absolutely fantastic, wouldn't it? So that's what my thoughts are straight away. Just because thinking it from a Premier League heavy point of view again, and the fact that this is the strongest league in Europe at the moment. So yeah, that price on Nottingham Forest, don't mind that. I've got to say, it's if they can just get themselves safe. I've seen them already under Pereira. I thought they were very good in Fenerbahce away from home. This team are better than where they are in the Premier League. I think Sean Dyche was really unfortunate to get sacked and freeing this team up actually a little bit and making them. Pereira seemed to have noticed that he's got some very good players there. Elliot Anderson, Hudson-Odoi, Morgan Gibbs-White. These are all players that need a bit of shackles releasing, and that's just what he's done. And I think Sean Dyche restricted their best players in forward areas to a certain extent, and he's letting them loose a little bit at the moment, those players, and I think they're going to cause teams some problems. And again, that would be a big issue for Tottenham at the moment, I think, because Nottingham Forest look capable of picking up points, I think, over the next few weeks. And I think this is why I'm just thinking this Tottenham relegation price might be one to jump on at 5-1 at some point in the next, maybe before this weekend, because West Ham are going to Liverpool and I don't mind them there either. So West Ham have got a lot about them as well. So it could be a bad weekend for Tottenham, I'm thinking. But Nottingham Forest at 10-1 there, not the worst price considering. I think I know it's a small sample size, but I think they've released the shackles a bit under Pereira.
Yeah, it's interesting that we could talk about everything, and Lewis starts to sort of turn the chat around to Spurs getting relegated. Obviously, yeah.
It's something which is on my mind, obviously, isn't it? I probably should just get involved and back it because I keep talking about it and flirting around it. I probably just need to get involved and back it because I obviously think it's a good price because I don't shut up about it. So
we could talk about anything, anything you want. Yeah, the tennis champion hurdle, but Spurs might go down.
But Spurs go down.
A lot of chat, some really good debates with the chat about Barcelona, Atleti. A lot of you taking each other on, which is great to see. We love the community here. And a few taking up Adam's ask about the Turkish game. Have a look at that as well. Real Brendan King says, love Betty's side of the door. Go on then. This is the Conference League as well. Crystal Palace have got Larnaca for its worth. I commentated on Lech Poznan last night. They were absolutely awful, but they did beat Cups, who lost about 9 players in the winter window. Have you got any very quick thoughts on it, Lewis?
I mean, Palace versus Fiorentina in the quarterfinals could be relatively difficult for Palace, but no real view. Are Palace still favourites? Do we have the market?
Yes, they are, plus 250.
Yeah, that looks a tad short for me. Crystal Palace at that sort of price with the uncertainty around Glasner. He could walk away at any point. He's the main reason they are that price, aren't they? I think because he's got such a great record in this competition. But I mean, I'm not sure whether he's going to stick around. So it's one I would swerve. I think the Conference League, Palace especially as favourites.
I'll tell you what, Strasbourg under Gary O'Neill have been absolutely fantastic, and we're going to talk about them very shortly indeed. We're 20 minutes in. We've given no picks out yet. We have got, how many games we've got to get through? We've got 6 games to get through for you. We're going to kick off with Wolves against Villa, which is a massive game in the Premier League tonight. Wolves are plus 335, mainly because of the Villa situation. They're minus 121. The tie up plus 260. I thought they'd been bet into minus 129. I think they've got a little bit shorter here. Villa. The tie plus 260. The over and under is pretty much each of 2, as you can see. Arakadari plus 320 any time. Adam Armstrong, I think, it's only scored something like 9 Premier League goals in about 90 appearances. He's plus 310. Mateus Mane, who is one for now as well as one for the future, plus 390. Then Watkins, Abraham, Rodgers. Can't see Watkins and Abraham starting, but you never know. Plus 165, plus 180. And Morgan Rodgers, who's played 2,400 minutes plus for Aston Villa this season, just tend to think that there's a bit too much on the clock for Morgan Rodgers. There's a lot going to be looking here, Lewis. Wolves sort of on that handicap because Villa have just stumbled a little bit recently. Just 1 win in 5 in all competitions, missing Kamara, McGinn and Tielemans. I think, again, that trio has been key for them. A lot of Villa fans who come on to chat will tell you that. Is the angle in opposing Villa here? What do you think?
I wouldn't want to be backing them at the price they've got to now. I think they are minus 129 now, so there's been a bit more money for them. I can see the logic because obviously Wolves are a team I did have to give a little bit of a re-ranking to immediately after Rob Edwards took charge, but I think they've fallen back to where they were actually under in the early part of the season. Just can't score enough goals, don't create enough chances, very stale team. And the reason I don't want to back Villa here is precisely for the reason that you've mentioned already, the fact they're missing Kamara, Tielemans and John McGinn. I mean, they've been out for, I think all 3 of them have been missing for the last 5 games in all competitions. Yeah. And I just think they've just dropped their levels. They don't look nowhere near as ruthless and relentless as they used to be, especially without Kamara. I think he's such a big miss for them. I mean, the with and without stats, I always like to bring it up when I talk about Villa. Big sample size here of 56 games, and they concede. Their goals against goes from 1.1 to 1.4 without Kamara. Win percent drops from 59 to 41. And I'm just the eye test as well completely matches that up. I did the game against Leeds last weekend, and I just thought they missed that link player between the midfield and the attack. Tielemans does it better than anyone in the Premier League in terms of getting the ball under pressure and moving the ball quickly into Morgan Rodgers. Kamara protects the back four brilliantly, also moves the ball really well. He's a sort of like a mini Rodri in a way. I think he's such a great all-rounder in that midfield for Villa. He knows exactly what Unai Emery wants from him. And I just don't want to trust this Aston Villa team at short prices without those 3 in there to score enough goals and create enough big chances to win the game. I mean, those last 5 games that I mentioned, they've gone off favourites to win all of them against Leeds, Newcastle, Brighton, Bournemouth and Brentford. Won just 1 of those, scored just 4 goals. So, yeah, this is look a bit of a stodgy team actually at the moment in terms of chance creation. And I do think if you can stop Morgan Rodgers, and you mentioned how many minutes he's played this season, potentially is looking a little tired. But I think if you can stop him, like Leeds did brilliantly last weekend, I think across the pitch, Villa struggle to find other ways to break teams down. So can probably trust this Wolves defence, which has improved under it, Rob Edwards, to probably go at home, sit in, do a job, be organised, keep the scores, keep the Wolves in the game. Maybe Villa can nick it 1-0. Maybe they'll nick it at some point, but I can't trust them at those sort of prices. And I definitely want to head elsewhere for a bet. Under 2.5 goals, I want to go down the route here, Dan. I think it's going to be a very popular play. And I'm surprised the price has held here at minus 110 for under 2.5, because I think you get a lot of likely outcomes on your side with this bet. You get a low-scoring Wolves win, which could happen. You get the 1-1, which I think is a big runner, and the 0-0 on your side, and also get the 1-0 Villa win, which I've already mentioned as well. And if you just look at the past history between these 2 teams, this is a derby, and officially, is it a derby? I think we can call it a rivalry. Maybe not a derby, but there's definitely there is some sort of feeling between the 2 sets of supporters. It's a big game for them, I think, because they don't have their traditional derby in the league. I mean, West Brom are out of the Premier League and Birmingham are out of the Premier League. So these 2 have sort of conjured up their sort of like an alternative derby. And when there's a derby match, I do actually look at head-to-head records, because I do think it's actually relevant in terms of what type of game it can be. And 7 of the last 8 meetings between Wolves and Aston Villa have gone under 2.5 goals. So I think this is a game that is settled by fine margins usually. And I do think the atmosphere actually plays a part of that, because it can be quite a good atmosphere at Molineux for these sort of games. And it sort of adds to the pressure of the situation on both teams, and that can affect the goal output. So that's a reason to get involved in unders. And also just with the fact it's Wolves and Rob Edwards, that's another reason to get involved with the unders, I think, here, because they are a turgid team still, Wolves, in the Premier League. Across the last 17 matches, total goals output comes in at 2.1 per 90. Scored just 11 goals in those 17 games. I mean, amazing they managed to score 2 goals against Arsenal, even though they created just 0.35 worth of expected goals. That was an absolute freak result, that one. So, yeah, I'd like this under 2.5 line here. I've got to say at minus 110. I think there's lots of ways that this can win. And I am going to play the unders as part of my daily double today. I'm going to be a bit more defensive and put the under 3.5 line in just to give us a bit more security, because the second half of it does take it up to a plus money play. But yeah, I do think this is going to be a low scoring game, I think. And the market hasn't really adjusted enough, I think. I think minus 110 for under 2.5 has got a really, really good chance.
I think it's a massive player. Sean, very early on in the chat, Sean Coder says, too much fear-mongering around Villa. This might not be pretty, but it will be 3 points for Villa. That sort of buys into what you're saying as well. What else have we got here in the chat? John saying, getting the opportunity to oppose Wolves on the money line against the top 4 side at a palatable price isn't something we'll get to do that often. So I've got to back Villa at minus 121. It's Beans. He says, never mind the picks, will Spurs get relegated? Did you actually say that they would, or you just at the value price?
No, price 5-1. I think it was shortened between now
just
a bit further. I'm not saying they'll get relegated, but I think 5-1 has the potential to
Yeah.
shorten. And here we talk about Spurs again.
We can't help it. Real
We're on
Brendan
for
Hughes says,
over 8.5 mentions of Spurs here. Great.
I lean Villa alternative unders. What else have we got here? Under 3.5. Wolves Villa game as a parlay. That's Yano from OP. Yeah, it's part of our daily double. It's the first leg of the daily double. Yano from OP. Real Brendan King says Villa to win by exactly 1 goal, or Villa under 3.5. That's pretty popular. John talking about it being a West London derby. Don't like each other. Last 9 meetings.
West Midlands. West Midlands
Is over 4.5 cost. It's plus 135 if you can get on that. Father Brian Wolves to take advantage of Villa's midfield injuries. Plus 1. Even money. That's not bad, is it? If you can get that. Yeah. Not bad at all. Just talking about Kamara. Pulled up my stats here. And Kamara, when he starts, Villa money line, if you bet every single game this season, Premier League only, plus 16.27. The most profitable single player for Villa when he doesn't start, minus 242. And I did the numbers for the Premier League show for Kamara, McGinn and Tielemans. When they have started, if you bet them on the money line, I think it's 10 games. Did I work out as? Yeah, 10 games. They've won 7 of the 10, plus 958. And recently, as you pointed out, the money line drops off and the unders is every single one. Tend to think that unders is probably the way to go. However, Bet Rivers traders have told us that the over-under markets here, 82% of the money and 79% of the tickets on overs. And the money has come for Villa on the money line. I think they're just a little bit too short, but I'm very much down with the unders here. Wolves have lost each of his last 9 home matches following a league loss. Wolves have failed to score a goal in 5 of its last 7 EPL matches. Just 1 or 2 trends here. Villa have scored 1 or fewer goals in 5 straight matches. Yeah, I think unders, I think, is a solid play. Under 3.5 is part of the daily double. That is Villa away at Wolves. Let's talk Augsburg, Koln. Next, Augsburg are plus 118. Koln are plus 225. The tie is plus 235 here. We have had 206 games in the Bundesliga. If you bet over 2.5 in every single game, you've won 132 times, and your return on investment is just over 4%. Small wins, but wins nonetheless. I mean, every single game seems to go over. It doesn't, but the majority do. I'm going to keep this one simple for me. Lewis, I don't know what you think about here. I mean, both of these sides are profitable over 3.5. And I can't quite see why the line here is relatively poor at minus 136 for over 2.5, or relatively big, I should say. Minus 136 for over 2.5. So I'm going to play. I guess I should split the difference a little bit here. The Asian line is over 2.75 and it's minus 106. But all my bets on this game are going to sort of feature around the overs here. What's your thoughts on Augsburg, Koln?
Yeah, singing from the same hymn sheet here, Dan, like the overs here. actually quite a lot. It was close to being in this in the daily double, actually. The more I looked into it, and it's around this the way that Augsburg have changed their style and manager recently, haven't they? 11 matches, this Manuel Baum has come in, the caretaker, and he's picked up only Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Hoffenheim, and Stuttgart have collected more points in that period than what Augsburg have under Baum. And of course, they became the first team to beat Bayern Munich this season, didn't they, as well? An absolute outrageous result that was, to go from being sort of, I think they were in the mix for relegation when the guys are be able to go and beat Bayern Munich. But they do give you a chance, this Augsburg team, I've got to say, because their underlying data in defence under this manager is quite worrying, actually. I mean, averaging 2.04 expected goals against per 90, which is actually the worst figure for any team in Bundesliga over that period. So I'm not getting too sucked in to the fact of their good form on paper and the fact they beat Bayern, because they're offering up lots of big probability chances on a weekly basis. And I think that explains why they are plus money here, I think. You would think at home to a team like Koln, who are on the verge of the relegation zone, you'd have thought there'd be a short price on this. But I do think the data is holding their price up here, because the expected goals against stuff is pretty wretched for Augsburg. So again, I'm not going to get involved with them on the money line. Completely happy to stay clear of that. But this over 2.5 line, I think at minus 136, I think that might drift as well. I think I've seen earlier that there's been a bit of money for the unders, so this price could drift even further. And I would just, maybe, if you're thinking of getting on, I would hold fire, because I think this price will get bigger closer we get to kick off. And the reason I like this is because, again, it's going to be underlying data based, but games under this manager have only averaged 2.4 goals per 90, and only 5 of the last 11 have gone over 2.5. But the expected goals data per game, 3.66, which is like a 1.2 goal difference from the actual numbers. So that says to me that these games are very open, full of chances at both ends. So I think that may correct itself before long about the actual goals catching up with the expected goals. And when you just throw Koln into the mix as well, the away team, they've only failed to score in 2 of their 11 away from home. That was against Leverkusen and Dortmund, so 2 of the best teams in the Bundesliga. And even if you just run their raw data, Koln, they're averaging 3.1 goals per game this season, and 7 of their last 8 have gone over 2.5 goals. So huge argument here to back the overs, especially if it continues to drift. I mean, I'm hoping we can get somewhere near sort of minus 125 potentially here. I would wait, because I think there has been a bit of a move already, and I think this price will get a bit bigger. And I'm happy to go against where the money's going here and play the goal angle, because I think this Augsburg team, the underlying data is just screaming that their games are going to go through a period where there's lots of goals at some point, and I just want to be there when it happens. And Koln looked like the perfect opponent for that tonight. So yeah, I want to play the overs, Dan.
Overs for me, for sure. Koln, I think I don't mind Koln to win this game, or at least get them sort of tie-no bet. But I'm put off a little bit, because there's a couple of defenders who probably would start that won't. Sebalonen and Thielemann, who, just looking at their stats, are regulars, and most of the copy suggesting that they're going to miss out. That puts me off. It's only going to be an overs bet for me. You've got a player that you quite like, though, in this one, haven't you?
Yeah, it's a great price, this. I think this also nearly made the daily double as well. There's lots of on the borderline of making the best bets here. But it's Said El Mala. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Over 0.5 shots on target, minus 143 with Bet Rivers. I think this is a fantastic price, considering his record and data for the away side here. He averages 1.5 shots on target per 90 in the Bundesliga this season. So we're already getting close to getting a value play there on that price. And this bet has landed in 8 of the last 10 starts. The 2 it didn't, again, you can probably forgive him, away at Leverkusen and away at Dortmund, where Koln were big outsiders anyway. So just in games of this kind of matchup against this type of opposition, he's very consistent at hitting the target. And what I like about it most is the fact he is a shots merchant. His shot volume is huge, 3.8 per 90 in the Bundesliga this season. And his shots on target rose straight alongside that. And to me, it just stuck out like a sore thumb, that price on El Mala to have over 0.5 shots on target of minus 143. So I'd encourage everyone to have a real good look at that price, because it is an absolute banger, I think.
Indeed it is. John's come up with some nice stats as well. A lot of you looking at both teams to score yes for this. Both are profitable this season, incidentally, for both teams to score. Yes, Augsburg plus 134 to level stakes and Koln plus 353. I take your point about the injuries, John, but I don't, you get these list of players when you see websites and you go into them, half of them don't play, or they played like one or two times. Always worth checking regular starters and so on. But it's a fair point, John. On the money line, 89%.
Sorry, just to jump in there, Dan. They have got a lot of their attacking players fit, which is going to help this overs play. I think a lot of the issues are at the back. So again, that just feeds
yeah, this is it. I don't mind defenders being out for an overs play at all. Do you know what I mean? 89%. Of the money, 88% tickets on Augsburg. Most of the cash is on overs. Both team scorers hit in each of the last 6 Bundesliga matches between the two as well, if you like a little bit of head-to-head. Yeah, just going back to that head-to-head, I meant to say, it's the only time I look at head-to-head with a sort of serious eye is in those derbies, because if two teams are in the same sort of vein of form, or they're roughly the same sort of prices, then all the external things sort of plays into derby games. And I don't mind looking at head-to-heads at all when it comes to derby matches. But for just regular games, things that happened 10, 15, even 5 years ago, I sort of dismiss. It's usually completely different squads of players. What else have we got here? Father Brian says, Augsburg, most cards come for straight teams, have a good record for fewest cards, says Father Brian. Let's have a look at Strasbourg against Lens. This is a massive game in Ligue 1, of course. Strasbourg are absolutely flying at the moment. I'm pricing things up at the minute. I made these exactly the same sort of price, plus 122. They're plus 123. Lens are 2-1, which is a bit of a surprise. They're going for the title, but they were beaten by Monaco. I think they did a real coupon buster last week in that game. Everyone thought Monaco wouldn't win because it was between the Champions League matches. The tie at plus 255 here. The under and overs look about right to me, minus 155. Overs, unders, plus 118. We spoke to James Easton, or he was on the show yesterday, and he basically said he could see why Strasbourg were favourites, but didn't really want to bet them as favourites. He looked at overs. I'm not quite sure if he still likes them with a price, because there has been support for overs. My lean is over 2.75 goals. Since Gary O'Neill has got the job, over 2.5 goals hit in every single Liga match, 6 from 6 for a plus 468 level stakes profit. Over 3.5 is hitting 3 of 6. Both teams to score yes is hitting 6 of 6. Is 6 of 6. The Strasbourg sort of data has changed since he's come in, and he's just said they're just more attacking. He watches every single game, James, pretty much. So it's a lean for me on overs here. And Lens, I think, need to win as well. After that defeat at Monaco, they started so well. I just think Lens have got to try and win this game. I think it'd be a really good watch, this one. And it's whether you're prepared to take what might not be a value play or might be the right price about overs for me. Lewis, I don't know how you see it.
Yeah, on similar lines, really. I'm glad James Easton has backed up my thoughts on it, really, because it's very tight betting heat, this, because I think if this was played in a neutral venue, there'd be nothing between the teams. Market has Strasbourg more or less rated around the same level as Lens, which did actually surprise me. But when you dig a little bit deeper into the numbers and into the way all the key things you want to put into pricing, you can see why Strasbourg are well fancied at home, because I think the home advantage counts for quite a lot for them. They're very strong there, notoriously. So yeah, the sort of the 1x2 market, or the outright market here, it's hard for me to have a really strong view. And I'll just want to say it's a really big game for Lens. I think in terms of the sort of trajectory for their season, they need to avoid suffering sort of consecutive league defeats, because that was a bad one, wasn't it, against Monaco? 2-0 up and cruising, and then to concede 3 goals in 12 minutes to totally throw that game away. I'm not sure what that could have a real big impact mentally on them for the rest of the season. But one thing I did notice, they have bounced back with a win after all of their losses this season. So maybe they can just get back on the horse and get back to what they're good at. But it's going to be a really interesting game to watch. Every single angle I went down here just looked like the pricing was right. Over 2.5 goals, as you mentioned. You mentioned the stats there. Yeah, every Strasbourg game has gone over 2.5 for Gary O'Neill, and I think all of Lens' last 8 away games have gone over 2.5 as well. So I can see why that has been backed if trends like that are your thing. but everything just looked tightly priced. I think it's definitely a game, if you can watch it, I would, because I think it's a really good game at the top of the table, and it should be quite a fun one to watch. Just couldn't get an angle in on this one, and if James Easton couldn't find an angle, what chance of a numpty like me? So there we go.
He was sort of like suggesting, if you want to bet any overs, he's probably about the right price. Can't go. I mean, over 2.75 is minus 120. I'm in tonight. I will probably be betting that. Just going back to the overs and unders for the Wolves game, as Troy and John have just pointed out. We put the poll up here, and 57% went under, sort of taking our advice. 43% overs, dismissing our thoughts and our strategy. So, right. go whatever you want.
Just keep hopefully that affects the price and the price gets bigger.
But look, people generally like to bet overs. We know that it's the way of the world. What else have we got here for the Strasbourg game? Yano from OP, over 2.5 minimum. Generally says cracking game, must watch. Yeah, over 3. Chippy Chips talking about this one. O'Neill just wants to outscore the opponent, says Jenna P. Big intensity. Lens have the weapons to hurt Strasbourg. Both teams to score an over 2.5 at minus 115. Couldn't put anyone off that one at all, to be fair. And Terence talking about first half over 1.25 price pending. Someone in the chat yesterday talked about Sangare could be out for Lens. He would be a miss for them as well. And I think they're missing a couple of defenders as well. Aguilar, who came back in after a ban last week and then went off about 10 minutes later, presumably because of injury. And Beidou is still out as well. 2 defenders who generally would play for Lens. That's maybe why Strasbourg are a little bit shorter as well. We'll see. Carl, talking about Wolves-Villa, both teams score. No looks to play to me at odds against. Yeah, you get the 0-1s, the 1-0s, and just in case it goes mad, you go 3-0. It's not the worst play, I don't think, for that one. That is Strasbourg against Lens. Parma, Cagliari, very quickly on this one. When I priced this one up, I made Parma minus money. They're plus 128. They were plus 133 earlier today. The over and unders look about right. The under is minus $2. But that is for a reason. Big reason. I said big reason. I mean, the stats would suggest Parma a little bit of value. Cagliari are without Yeremina, who was sent off in the game against Lazio last week, a 0-0 draw. He was sent off late on in that. And from a striking point of view, you'll notice that Semi, Esposito and Folorunsho are all listed. Michael Folorunsho is questionable, but the sort of general players who they would look to just aren't fit or haven't been playing. Belotti's not played for much of the season. Borelli and Gaetano have been subs more often than not, and they could be missing out as well. There's just not a lot of choice for Cagliari here. And Cagliari away versus teams above them, played 7, drawn 2, lost 5. Parma teams below them at home, played 5, won 3, draw 1, lost 1. Plus 128 seems about fair to me. It will be one that I will be betting in that Serie A game tonight, which is a 245. Giuseppe says, not a must watch this one. That is very true. Look, it's not going to be the best, I don't think. It'll probably be unders, but I wouldn't want to bet it at minus $2. But I think Parma can give you a little bit of fun at plus 128. In terms of where the money's been going for this one, 90% of the money, 84% of the tickets on Parma. Most of the cash has come from overs as well. Both teams to score has failed to hit in Cagliari's last 4 Serie A matches, and the over 2.5 goals market has hit in 6 of Cagliari's last 7 Serie A away games. That might be an interesting one. John says 2 teams mid-table, fairly safe. Do they shake hands and take a point? Potentially. I don't think we're in that stage of the Serie A season just yet, but give it 4 or 5 weeks and we probably are. I mean, what was the draw? I noticed that there are some very short price draws for the Serie A games this weekend. I don't think this is one of them. Oh, it is sub 2-1. I take it back. You'll get a few of those come May. Very briefly, anything for you on this one, Lewis, or not? This is one that you passed over.
I left this one to you, mate. It was I mean, just looking at that minus 210 for under 2.5, that just sums it up really. That game, it's not really one that jumped out at me as a betting heat, but always a bet somewhere, and I think you covered it nicely.
Very quickly on the Levante game, because none of us really got an opinion on this one, but I have got some stats for you. Levante plus 175, Alaves plus 170. That's changed a little bit. The tires come in. Alaves now favourites. Unders looks about right at that sort of price here. but it is very, very short. Levante, possibly without Ivan Romero, you can see is listed there at plus 270. Anytime goal scorer is listed as questionable. Tony Martinez has found a little bit of form. Used to play at West Ham years ago. He's got 5 in his last 9 in all competitions. He's a plus 270 price to score at any sort of time. I've got no real opinion in this one. I must admit, I think the prices look about right. But both teams to score has hit in 5 of Alaves' last 6 matches. The over 2.5 goals market has hit in 4 of Alaves' last 6 matches. And Levante have failed to score a goal in 5 of its last 7 matches. In terms of where the money's going for this one, 80% of the money, 54% of the tickets on Alaves. Over and unders, 60% of the money, 72% of the tickets on overs. That is Levante against Alaves. Anything from the boys in chat for this one before we get Lewis back in for Bristol City and Watford? John says the dog of a game, the Parma game. John's got some stats for us as well. The winner of Espanyol was just their second on the road all season. This is the problem, isn't it? Yeah, it's not going to be a great watch. There are better ones to watch on the Bet Rivers app tonight for sure. Last game we're going to take a look at here, and we've got the second part of Lewis's daily double as well. We will get Lewis's thoughts on the championship fixture between Bristol City and Watford. Bristol City plus 128, Watford plus 170 here. In terms of where the money's gone, Lewis, most of the cash on Bristol City, most of the money is on overs. How do you see it?
Quite like Watford here, Dan, actually. It's under a new manager again, aren't they? It's the 23rd head coach made by the Pozzo family since 2012. So going through managers at a nice rate. We've got Ed Steele in the dugout here. Not Will, incredible. But not Ed Will. Steele. The Steels are taking over, obviously. And he's, 3 games so far. Drew at Preston, beat Derby, and then lost to Ipswich. So hard to read too much into those 3 matches. But Watford's underlying process in those games, they won the XG battle in all 3 of them. And Watford are a team I like to back, actually, when the prices are right and the matchup is okay. So I think they're a very dangerous team on their day with very good technical players in the final third, especially for the level in the championship. I just think Imran Loser in midfield is such a brilliant technician. Chak Videzi, the Georgian kid, he's a brilliant player for this level on his day, probably one of the most exciting in the championship. So I'm always a little bit drawn in by Watford when the situation is right. And I've watched and covered Bristol City a few times this season, and they're favourites here. And I'm not sure there's much between them and Watford based on everything we've put into the pot here. Bristol City look like a sort of mid-ranking championship team to me. They lack so much consistency. They rely on some sort of key personnel to make the difference. And one of the reasons I really like backing Watford actually as well is because they've actually taken the most points from losing positions in the championship this season. And even though so you could look at that both ways, couldn't you? You could look at that why they've fallen behind so much. But when you're investing money in football teams, I always like to feel you've got a chance, even if they fall behind. And Watford do possess that sort of cohesion and unity to fight back in games. And I just think, yes, they changed their manager a lot. There is a good team lurking here. I think they've got as I mentioned, lots of talent in that team. And the thing that just made me move towards them even further was the fact that Bristol City are missing one of their key men at the back. Rob Atkinson is a huge player for them in the back 3, probably their best defender. And the with and without stats, we're going to go there again and paint a really clear picture of how important he is to them in terms of how solid they are. They concede 0.3 more goals per game this season when he's not playing. And it's their shots faced data. This is the thing that really sort of opened my eyes today. So he's missed 11 games this season. When he plays, they concede 11 shots per game. When he doesn't play, they concede 16.3. So that's an increase of 6.3 shots per 90 over 11 game sample size. So again, that made me think that even the results have held up okay when he's not played. The underlying data in terms of how much traffic they're seeing at their goal really does increase quite a lot. And I think Watford, not too bad away from home. They've got an okay record. They've only won 1 of their last 9 in total, hence the manager change. But they've been pretty consistent away from home this season. They've got some good players in that team. And I don't think there's not much between these teams, and just at the prices, I really wanted to get Watford on side here. So plenty of ways you could do that. For the daily double, we're going to go double chance Watford. Stick that in alongside the under 3.5 from the Villa game. Oh, I thought it was plus 200 there, Dan. I thought it had been a massive drift.
That was yesterday's.
That was yesterday's. Plus 108. That's absolutely fine as well. So, yeah, double chance Watford at Bristol City. But there's other ways you could get them on side here. The Tyno bet minus 103 for Watford's a nice way in, I think, plus a quarter as well, minus 139. Any of those pro Watford angles here for me look good based on the team that I know they can be on their day. Lots of good players in the final third. I think the absence of Atkinson for Bristol City really pushes the opportunity for Watford to get a result tonight. So yeah, really like them actually. I think they're being underrated by the market.
I bet Watford at the start of the season on the handicap. I can't remember how many points I got, but I'm way off winning that one. But I always thought they might be a little bit better. I know a couple of season ticket holders, lots of young players, I think, came in the summer, didn't they? It's, you get inconsistencies, don't you, with that sort of thing. What do we got here? Father Brown says Sinclair Armstrong to be carded if he gets on the pitch. Hard to argue with the Tino bet, Parma and Alaves Tino bet from Terence. Yeah, don't mind that one. John's talking about the draw double for the Italian and Spanish games. I can certainly see that. Yeah, I should have done this earlier, but yesterday, cracky if I can press the right button. Yesterday, James went plus 200 with a daily double. The day before, Will White, I think his double was around about even money, wasn't it? So you're in good company with your daily double today at plus 108. We are looking for 3 on the spin. I don't know if Mondays hit. Don't think Tuesdays did, but
I'm always on after like there's 3 or 4 in a row daily double wins. Always is. I time it perfectly. But yeah, no, that's a 2 good selections there. I think I'm confident we're on a good bet there.
Yeah, I think we will be cashing a little bit later. Let's hope that is the case. Have I got any? I talked about the stats, didn't I, for this Bristol City Watford game? That is a lot.
I've got a shot on target bet, Dan. If
go on, then. Absolutely.
Come on. One shot on target bet for this game. Tommy Horvath. I just want to get him on people's radar here.
Oh yes, of course. Yes. Sorry. Yeah.
Bristol City best price I found was with Bet Rivers plus 145 for over 0.5 shots on targets. That's Tommy Horvath. He's recently signed from Sturm Graz on deadline day. He's their replacement for Mehmeti, who went to Ipswich in January. So he's replaced him, and he's someone's got good pedigree actually. I'm not sure if you remember when Spurs lost to NS Mura in the Conference League in 2021. Yes, Spurs again. I remember that one. And yes, Spurs were crap then as well. This was the guy that scored the winning goal. Was this guy when he was a wonder kid? And it's sort of 5 years have passed now. He's gone to Sturm Graz. He's won the title twice there. And he's looked very, very sharp, actually, in his first few appearances with Bristol City. Really creative player, likes to get forward, likes to get shots away. And I think the market they do this with players that come over from abroad sometimes, take a bit of time to react to how dangerous they are in terms of their sort of attacking output in the props market. And I think this price here, plus 145 for him to have a shot on target. He's had 2 in his 4 games. He hit the post last weekend as well against Blackburn, so that was close to being a shot on target. Just a very good attacking player for the Championship, and I think he's underrated at the moment by the market. So he's definitely a player to keep on side tonight, I think. Plus 145, Tommy Horvath over 0.5 shots on target.
Wonderful little bit of a shot on target play for the game tonight, which you can watch, of course, live on the Bet Rivers app and on the Bet Rivers website. That about wraps it up for tonight. Father says all his shots on target have gone outside the box as well, says Father Brian. Mindy Prios is asking if Spurs can get relegated.
Well, we haven't touched on this yet, have we? So it's a really interesting subject. In a word, yes, they can. Of course they can. The price might have some juice.
They are still a little bit of value. Yeah, it's an interesting one against Fulham. I looked at Fulham and I thought, crikey, I wonder if this is the shortest price they've ever been to beat Spurs, but they were shorter last year. So that's just Spurs for you, innit? Do you know what I mean? Oh, dear. Lewis, enjoy your company. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend. Whatever you're up to, that is your lot. for us today. Steve will be back on Monday. Plenty more content on the site. We've got the European show out with myself, Steve, and James that was recorded earlier today. Obviously, the Premier League show is out as well. We've got a Premier League game tonight, but all of the games covered on Saturday and Sunday. A lot of picks and leans on the Euro show with James and Steve as well. So that is out for your pleasure. There'll be plenty of tennis with Nigel, Sean, and all the gang as well. But from myself and Lewis, that is your lot. Cash some tickets tonight. Have a good betting weekend. We will reconvene with our P&L sheets on Monday. See